What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Top Flight Pod, the official podcast of We're Austin TV. We're here with my G Primo back on screen today. What's up, brother? How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It's a good Monday. Monday after the game. We had a game on Sunday. But I'm doing good. We got the win. Austin C got the win. Madrid got the L. But I've been good. It was a good Monday so far.
Definitely, man. And well, of course, we're here to talk about everything going on in the Austin FC universe. You got the Real Madrid jersey. I got the Chivas jersey. Both teams are down bad. And let me tell you, I don't think there are two teams in the world that people celebrate their losses more than Real Madrid and Las Chivas de Guadalajara, if I'm being quite honest. You could probably throw Arsenal in there, sure. But no, both teams down bad, mate. But hey, we got a lot of stuff to get into in the Austin FC universe. Of course, the win against DC United, a lot of topics in the academy level. Austin FC2 made their season home opener debut against Minnesota United FC2. A lot to talk about there, but we'll get to that towards the end of the pod. But before we get into anything, Primo, I wanted to start off with a very important topic. I mean, the city of Austin is going through it, if I'm being quite honest. I mean, everybody knows what happened over the weekend. Mass shooting. I believe it was 4 people that lost their lives. Still some people in critical condition. The club put out a statement. I know that we put out a tweet as well, just telling folks to make sure to check on their loved ones to see if everybody was okay. Buford's is a very popular place, Primo. You know it. I know it. A lot of our friends know it. We're no strangers to that area of downtown. It's a lot of fun. I told Aaron that he should go check it out when he's in Austin, and thankfully he did not go this weekend, and it was actually looking like he was gonna go, but something happened last minute where he had to stay in Louisiana for just a little bit more time, and what a decision that was, brother. But I do want to send my condolences. I want to send, just my sincerest condolences 100% from everybody here at We're Austin TV to anybody that was affected by this just disturbing situation, this terrible scenes. I mean, in our own little city, mate. I mean, Austin to me is still a small town, but if we're being quite honest, it's growing every single month, and it's turning into something that we're just not used to. And I just want to read something here from that the club put out, Primo. Austin FC is saddened by the tragic events in our community. We mourn those who lost their lives and offer our condolences to all who have been impacted. We are grateful for the efforts of first responders who quickly intervene to prevent further tragedy. And on that note, for the first responders topic, Primo, I mean, I was reading on reports as well that the first responders neutralized the shooter in just 57 seconds, brother. I mean, 57 seconds, when you say it at first, it doesn't seem like much. It's less than a minute, right? It's just at a minute. But for those people that were there, I bet those 57 seconds were absolute just chaos. And, like I said earlier, my heart goes out to anybody that was affected. Coach Nico even had something to say post-match. I'll read his words here as well. He says that he wanted to start by sending from the staff, from the players, from the team, their most sincere condolences for what happened last night. He also said that he was very thankful for the first responders and how quickly they reacted. And one thing that I thought was very weird, Primo, was that a Waymo apparently was blocking the road for first responders. And today I had a weird interaction with the Waymo, brother, because we were downtown. I had to direct traffic, and the humans in vehicles, they were stopping when they saw that I had my hand up, so that my coworker could do what needed to do on the busy downtown streets. And a Waymo came 2 feet from hitting us in the middle of the street, mate. I mean, these things are dangerous, bro. At first, I thought self-driveless car, it's the future. How cool! But recently, it hasn't been that, man. And if that was really the case, that a Waymo was blocking the road for first responders, that's really scary. Waymo almost hit us today. That's pretty scary as well. But just to close out on this topic, like I said, man, we just want to send our most sincere condolences to anybody affected. I know that that the victims are starting to be identified on social media. I saw that there were some pages that were posting a young man that lost his life. And I mean, just imagine being their family, brother. It was devastating, to just disturbing scenes in Austin, Texas over this weekend. And let's hope that something like this doesn't happen during South by Southwest. Because if I'm being quite honest, mate, I'm a little afraid of those big crowds right now, brother, if I'm being 100%. But I want to send a shout out to everybody on the Patreon, everybody on the Discord chat. Thank you for all the support. shout out to all the players that are starting to follow We're Austin TV on Instagram, on Twitter, wherever it is that they keep up with our news. It's not something that we're quite used to. A lot of the players in the past, they hadn't really followed WATV, but shout out to new player Christian Ramirez for sharing a bunch of our stuff on his social medias, following us on social media. Robert Taylor joins the team. We're Austin TV supporters. So, I'm just very thankful for that. And shout out to, like I said, shout out to everybody in the Patreon. Shout out to everybody on the Discord. But anything you want to add onto that, Primo?
I mean, yeah, like you mentioned, it's just really devastating, disappointing. It's things that you hate waking up to and hate seeing happening in your city. But yeah, that whole Waymo thing is interesting, man. They, for it to get in the way like that, and then your experience with them. I personally haven't gotten in one, but I have heard people have, some bad experiences. I've heard people
Yeah.
say they go pretty fast. They go, so I don't
Really?
know. Yeah, I don't know
Man.
how safe those things actually are, but at the end of the day, yeah, it's really sad news. I hope everyone that is affected by it recovers, and
Yeah.
shout out to the first responders and everyone that did their job that night. So really sad.
100%, brother. 100%. Well said there, brother. And, just hopefully nothing like this happens again in Austin, Texas. But I hate to say it, the world is so crazy. I mean, I just don't see it not happening again. I think this is something that maybe not in Austin, but we've seen it in multiple cities. And the world is crazy right now. So just stay safe. Keep your head on a swivel, everybody out there, especially when you're places like downtown. Just make sure to be safe. Take care of yourselves. If you can't take care of the people around you, and just, don't put yourself in situations that it's hard though, because it's not like those people that went out to Buford's that Saturday thought that this was going to happen. So it's just a very difficult situation, brother. So just my heart goes out to anybody affected, and this is a big topic for us because we're from Austin, we live here, brother. And I honestly I'd never really seen anything like this. This really shocked me to my core. And like you said, waking up to this news on Sunday on game day was really tough, bro. It was really, really tough. But shout out to the first responders. Shout out to everybody that, helped out that situation. Shout out to the Buford staff. And we could just leave it there, brother. Just terrible, terrible scenes. But I want to roll into some academy topics, brother. That's where I like to start the podcast now, because we got to give a little bit more love to the youngsters. And today I wanted to get started on a very important topic. It was brought to our attention, Primo, that one of our posts, specifically the one about the goalkeeper tryouts, could have come off as a little bit disrespectful, or maybe a little bit of a slide to the player that we use for the cover. And I just wanted to address a little bit of that real quick, if I could. I don't want to spend too much time on it because I already talked to the people that I needed to talk to. I apologize if it was interpreted in any kind of negative way. They let me know that they didn't see it like that, but there were some conversations, around some parents that was maybe getting to them, right? And I'll put the graphic here. The young player that you see here on screen, his name is Brandon. He's a U13 goalkeeper. The reason why I used him for the graphic, Primo, is because this young man, and I call him a young man, not a little boy. He's a young man. He actually just turned 13, so he's officially a teenager. But this young man, to me, he is the standard for his age at that position. The way that he carries himself, the way that he acts on social media, for his very young age that he had, very young age that, very young that he is, the work that he puts on the pitch, it's second to none. It really is second to none. And I really believe that he is the standard for his age at that position. And that's all that I wanted to, kind of get across with this post. I wanted to send the message like, hey, if you want to try out, this is the player that you want to be like. This is the player that you want to shoot for. This is the player that you want to, this is the work ethic that is needed for an academy goalkeeper for Austin FC, at least in my eyes. And, somebody let us know. They were saying, hey, this could come across as, hey, come take this young goalkeeper's job or anything like that. And, we already talked about it. We addressed it. There no way, shape, or form did I mean it to be interpreted like that at all. And I'll say this. Us at We're Austin TV, we would never make a post with the intentions of harming an academy player's confidence, harming an academy player's feelings because they are very young. You don't know how they could be feeling themselves. They're young boys. This is a young man, how I called him earlier. And I just wanted to get that across. I would never ever intentionally put out a post with the intention of trying to do what I just said. You know what I'm saying? So Brandon to me is the standard at his age for a goalkeeper, and anybody that's going to try out for these positions, with there is an open tryout coming. Just know that that is the standard. That is who you want to shoot to be like. Carry yourself well on social media because a bunch of maybe other academies or universities, they're going to be looking at your social media, see how you act online, see how you post, see what you're doing, and that's why you see a lot of player accounts being controlled by parents because they know because if you let the kid control the entire social media, you don't know how maybe they're going to retweet something that they're not supposed to, maybe they're going to like something that they're not supposed to, and you don't know who sees that. So that's why we see a lot of parents running some of these accounts. So I just wanted to get that out there. I don't want to spend too much more time on it, but Brandon to me is a very professional person at his age, and that is why I used him for the cover of this graphic, because to me he is the standard, and that's all that I wanted to do with it. I didn't mean it to be portrayed in any other way, shape, or form, and I just wanted to get that out there. And like I said, I spoke with the people that I needed to speak with. We cleared it. If there was anything that needed to be cleared, and they told me that there really wasn't that much there, but there was conversations that were happening behind the scenes that kind of were getting them worried. But it's all good. We settled it, and in the future, I will think about maybe the way that some of these posts might come across to other people. Because one quote, pretty much, that I've always liked is, "The worst form of blindness is thinking that your perspective is the only one." So the people that brought this to my attention, I'm gonna use that, and I'm gonna use this information in the future to avoid any kind of situation like this. So we'll just leave it at that, brother. Some more academy topics, mate. We have here 8 Austin FC Academy players have joined Austin FC2 on amateur agreements ahead of the 2026 MLS Next Pro season. On the cover, you see there Chuy Moreno, one of the probably most impressive academy players on defense that I've seen in quite some time. He's good with the ball at his feet. He's defensively a dog, if I'm being quite honest. And he's definitely a player to watch moving forward. I believe they got him from GFI Academy, if I'm not mistaken. But Chuy Moreno is a player that you definitely want to keep, tabs on, somebody that you want to, put a bookmark on or whatever. And he's somebody to definitely look out for as the years go on. The other players that are part of this agreement, mate, you had Sebastian Seiterle. I'm sorry, Sebastian, if I'm butchering your last name. Sebastian S., defender, number 47. We had Chuy Moreno, who I just mentioned. We also had Ryan Klinger, defender as well. Aiden Hell, forward. We had Landry Moncrief, who made his Austin FC2 debut on Sunday night with Austin FC2, of course. Cooper Ronnie, goalkeeper. We also had Liam Flynn, goalkeeper, and also defender Bona Dievbriere. Bona Dievbriere. So just want to send a shout out to those boys. Now, this doesn't mean that they are locked into the second team. They are still able to, be scouted by universities. They're still able to compete at the college level. So it's very important to keep in mind. They signed these amateur agreements where they can compete with Austin FC2. They can take part of these matches, but they are still able to, maybe join a university or, maybe go to another academy or another team. It doesn't necessarily lock them into one thing, but it is a good thing to see that the academy is starting to shape that pipeline that you've heard me always complain about. Where is the pipeline? When are we going to bring up players? Why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we doing that? So it's really good to see that 8 players are making the move, signing those amateur agreements. There's already other players before that had gone through this process. We had Nico Aristizabal, who's the Puerto Rican U17 goalkeeper, had a massive performance this weekend. Mohammed was also part of those players that signed amateur agreements. He's now a baller for Austin FC2, one of my favorite players at that level. So I just wanted to, put that out there. Best of luck to these kids. Best of luck to these guys. They have their whole career ahead of them 100%. But like I said, it is a good sign. It is a good thing to see that there is movement from the academy to the second team. And ultimately, you want that to end up going to the first team, brother. But Primo, if you want to add anything to this before we move on to some of the first team topics, you can go ahead, brother.
And no, I mean, you do an awesome job covering this academy. We mention it week in and week out. shout out to the boys that are getting called up to these to their national teams. It just kind of just seems like it's more and more every single time, or just different guys getting called up. It just it feels good that the academy is doing something good there. And then I mean, like you mentioned, I mean, I don't want to go back too much into it, but as far as the post, you mentioned it. We're Austin TV will never make a post to bring down a player or anything like that. And also, the player that you use in that post is a good example, not only for maybe that age group, but just kind of for the academy overall. He's a good player. Seems like he has a good head on his shoulders, which is something that you always repeat. It's something that scouts look at. So if these kids are looking into trying out for the academy, first of all, it's a great opportunity to kind of have that tryout. But also, you kind of want to see, who's a good example, who you might want to maybe not idolize, but if you're going into something like this, an academy level team, you might want to get familiar with how these players move. You might want to see how their social media are run and things like that. But I think you just use a good example for as a player and
That's all I tried to do. That's all I
as
tried to do on
yeah
that. You know,
as a face for the academy also, I think so.
that's literally what I tried to do, brother. And I thought Brandon, I thought he really, he resembled that 100%. He is the standard for me. This guy, Brandon, John Zardis, who I've talked about multiple times
Hmm.
on here. Those two are two very young players that really carry themselves the right way at such a young age. Brima, what were you doing at 13, at 12? We weren't acting like these guys, man. We weren't moving like these players, brother. But they're mini soccer players already. They know where they're headed, and they have a good head on their shoulders. And I'll read you a caption that was posted by Brandon from a week ago, so you can figure out what kind of head this kid has on his shoulders. He said, "Grateful for a coach who demands the best and sees the potential in me." He's talking about goalkeeper coach Calixto Barrios, and I mean that just tells you everything that you need to know. I mean, this is a young kid that is already treating himself like a professional athlete, like a professional grown man, like a professional grown man. And that's all. That's all that I wanted to spend time on it. I don't want to spend too much time on it, brother. But like I said, I already spoke with whoever that I need to speak with. We cleared any kind of confusion that there was, and there really wasn't any at all. And I think there was just, just we'll leave it there. I don't want to get too much more into it, brother. But anyways, credit to those boys, the 8 gentlemen that signed those amateur agreements. I'm excited to see what this turns into. A lot of opportunity. But real quick, before we leave the topic, I did want to mention something about two players that I was surprised that I did not see sign the amateur agreements. And it's two players that have been part of the academy system since literally the beginning. I know that Jonah Ayala probably has the most minutes, at least he's top 5 minutes played in the academy. His brother Christian Ayala was an MLS Next All-Star last season. He played for the West. I don't know why they weren't part of this agreement. I really don't know why they weren't, selected to compete for the second team as well. Um, that's a decision for the academy to make. Maybe they have other plans for these boys, but I was shocked to not see them in this press release. And I would really like to know why. I think Christian Ayala is very talented. I think John Ayala is very talented as well. And they've been part of this system since literally the jump, brother. The jump. So I was just a little bit confused as to why they weren't included, why they weren't there. But if there's a bigger plan in motion, I will step back 100%. But I would really like to know kind of why these players weren't included in this press release. That I believe they have talent. I believe they have what it takes to compete with the second team to at least sign those amateur agreements. But hey, we don't know what's really going on behind the scenes. So hopefully there's more information out there here soon. But it kind of gives you an idea of how invested I am into the academy level. I mean, a lot of folks know, Primo. I get into it pretty serious, and yeah, that's pretty much that on that topic. So we'll see what happens with those boys. I believe they're very talented. Like I said, they have an enormous amount of minutes underneath their belt at the academy level for Austin FC. So why weren't they selected? Why weren't they chosen to sign these amateur agreements? Christian Ayala is an all-star. What more do you want? You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is, brother. All righty. moving forward, Primo, we got a game to talk about, right? I want to start off with the availability report that we got from the Austin FC Communications press release that went out on Saturday night before this game. Now we have Mikhail Dessler still out with the groin, but his is actually the best news out of all of them. We got word from Coach Nico that Mikhail Dessler will be back with the team next week, which is this week that we're currently in right now. Robert Taylor, because of his knee, Coach Nico said it's an MCL, like degree one degree. It's not that bad. I actually had that injury once before. It's a weird one. It does hurt, but it's not an ACL. You know, at least it's just the MCL. It could have been a lot worse, but the MCL, it's definitely you're able to come back 100%. Brandon Vasquez, of course, he's still maybe 4-5 weeks out from serious, action with Austin FC. There's still a little bit of time left there, but after everything we've been told, after everything we have, the information that we have acquired, it seems like he is ahead of schedule. He is ahead of the timeline that the doctors had set out for him. And that Miami game is still a really good finish line for Brandon Vasquez, for him to finish his recovery process and also start his return with Austin FC. We heard in MLS Media Day that was when he wanted to come back, and it seems like everything is okay for him to make his return at the new Miami Stadium. What's it called? Miami Freedom Park or something like that? So something to really keep an eye on. And then we have Owen Wolf, Primo, who man, I don't know what to think of this, brother. I really don't know what to think of this because, when we got the news that he was getting a sports hernia surgery, everybody was all like, okay, well, he's young, he's gonna recover quickly. It has been anything but that. Coach Nico has said about 3 times that he's recovering slowly, that the recovery process is much slower than what they anticipated. And a lot of fans pretty much are starting to ask, well, who decided for Owen Wolf to get a surgery so late into the offseason, right before the new season started? Why couldn't this been taken care of in late 2025? Why was it a 2026 topic? And I think that's a good question to ask. Possibly the doctors didn't expect him to recover this slowly. I think that's a big thing that we have to put out there. But the decision to have such a late surgery is not aging well. The timeline is not aging well, and I think people should not to people should be concerned, but the questions that I've seen folks ask on social media, I'm starting to think that they're maybe fair. They're starting to say, hey, well, who decided for Owen Wolf to have this late surgery or whatnot? The recovery process has been slow, but I'm wondering who's going to make it back in time. Who's going to make it back first? Is it going to be BV9 or is it going to be Owen Wolf? So at least we know Mikhail Dessler will be back next week training with the team. But any thoughts on this availability report, Primo, that we got?
Yeah, it's not a surprise to see the guys that are on there, especially Robert Taylor, with the injury he picked up last week. This was kind of expected already. It's great that we're getting Dessler back. Just one guy more on the team that I think is really going to benefit us. With Wolf, I just feel like, we're doing all right now. We do have a few tough games coming up, about 3 or 4 in a row, I think. Tough games. So we'll see how we hold up. But so far it's been all right. We would have wanted to maybe have seen Wolf here by now, maybe already training with the team, maybe getting some bench minutes. But everyone, I guess, just reacts different with surgery and some, for example, with Brandon, it kind of just seems like he's already ahead of recovery time. It's probably just different for every player. Maybe this wasn't in their plans, and that's what maybe convinced them to have the surgery in the first place.
Yeah, fair to say.
But hopefully he's taking it slow. We would want Wolf back. We want Owen back at 100%. And ready to go. So if it's the best for it to take as long as it is, then all for it. I think he's just that of important player for us right now. That I would rather just have him wait it out, come back 100% than to force it and maybe cause another injury. Because we go in With Wolf gets another, when he gets injured again, we would really be in a tough spot. Um,
Yeah, no
so,
kidding.
but
No kidding, bro.
it's tough. It's tough, but they're coming back slowly. I know we'll eventually have them all back on the team, but
Yeah.
maybe a lot slower than what we're expecting.
And some official words here from Coach Nico on Owen Wolf. He says, quote, Owen is still recovering. It's slower than what we thought. Sometimes we stimulate him with more load in training, and he's still recovering. And then on Mikael Dessler, Coach Nico midweek, he says, Mikael has started to train with the team. He has done the full training. We feel like the first week is going to build him up to train the full week. On Robert Taylor and Jaden Nelson, he lets us know that Robert is recovering well, but it will be TBD for Sunday. We did not see him Sunday. He was on the availability report. So that answers that question right there. And then Jaden was fine. He was just cramping. Jaden Nelson let us know after the match against Minnesota that it was just cramps. We were able to get that quote from him. And then last but not least, Brandon Vasquez. Brandon is still in his process of recovery. He's progressing in the right direction, but still a month to see him on the field. So 4 players out, 4 pretty important players for Austin FC, if I'm being quite honest. Robert Taylor had a really good start against Minnesota, got the hockey assist, and it really did suck to see him go out 100%, brother. But speedy recovery to all of those guys, definitely much needed. Mikael Dessler, John Gallagher has done a really good job, kind of taking care of that position. But, you miss a guy like Owen Wolf. You would like to see a guy like Brandon Vasquez out there to see him, contribute with goals to this team. It's great to have Christian Ramirez, who we're going to get to here in a bit. But Brandon Vasquez is a player that you just want to see wearing the Austin FC jersey week in and week out. I mean, that's why he was brought here. That's why Rolo got emotional during his press conference, during his presentation, because that was his main target. That was his guy. And when he got him here, you know that he was happy 100%. But at least we know that Dessler will be back next week. Unfortunately, Owen is still recovering slowly. Taylor, MCL, but really no timeline on that. And then Brandon Vasquez, like we said, still a little bit of time away from his full return with Austin FC. But all righty, brother, I want to get into a little bit of the game. Austin FC versus DC United. Now, this was one of those matches where if the goal didn't come for Austin FC, oh man, there would have been some angry fans leaving Q2 Stadium. And because DC United, they know that they're very poor. A lot of people know that this DC United, they have Ty Baribo, but other than that, they're really toothless in the attack, if I'm being quite honest. They had Benteke. Now they betted on Ty Baribo, a guy that had 19 goals last season. He was an all-star as well. Coach Nico talked about that leading up to this match. And it really did seem like, Primo, I don't know if you agree with me, but it did seem like this DC United side was really playing for some kind of draw, either a 1-1 if they nick the goal from Austin FC, trying to, hold Austin FC to 0 goals. I mean, they have a fantastic goalkeeper, Sean Johnson. We really got to give him credit for what he did. He was the highest rated player. That's something that Salome and I were talking about in the press box. We were saying that there's really no coincidence why Sean Johnson is such a good keeper. Why he's why he's an international goalkeeper. He puts in the work. He's a guy that knows how to play that position. And highest rating, you clearly saw it. He stole Facundo Torres' goal, laser of a shot down low. Everybody thought it was in. Facundo thought it was in. He was already running to the sideline to celebrate his goal. But in the end, a fingertip save sends that to the corner kick. And speaking of corners, to me, people, this DC United game, maybe we could break it up in the sense of the Christian Ramirez goal, shutting down Ty Baribo, and all the set piece chances and corner kicks, dead ball situation, whatever you want to call it, that Austin FC had. And we could probably get started off with the Christian Ramirez topic, brother, because this is the man of the hour. This is the man that everybody's talking about. He got into the MLS team of the match week for his performance against DC. I mean, 14 minutes into his debut, he gets the game-winning goal for Austin FC. This is a player that some folks, I don't understand why, but they were criticizing his signing. They were saying that he was a 34-year-old, that he didn't have anything else to give Austin FC. Boom. Game-winning goal against DC in a match that was absolutely just locked for big chunks of it because DC was doing a job, at least maybe a little bit defensively. Maybe not so defensively because Austin was getting their chances through. They were getting shots up. They were getting those corners, right? But Sean Johnson, like I mentioned a couple minutes ago, was really, doing a job for this DC United side. But real quick, Primo, Christian Ramirez, he let us know post-match that he only had one training session, It was a very emotional week for him, roller coaster of last couple, maybe 4 or 5 days for this player. And I just want to get your quick thoughts on the performance that he had. I mean, a debut that he'll never forget. His jersey, he had all the players in the locker room sign it. I'm sure he's going to frame it. I mean, special day. And real quick, he is one of two players, him and Guillermo Vito. They're the only two players in Austin FC history to score on their debut. Fantastic stat.
What a stat! What a great group to be part in, scoring in your first game, your debut. But yeah, I mean, Christian Ramirez comes in, he does his thing. A lot of people were kind of writing him off, like you mentioned. A lot of people were writing him off. A lot maybe had to do with his age. But you kind of sometimes gotta look past that. You gotta
Yeah.
see, this guy is part of teams. Team champion. Winning teams. So sometimes I know people also write that off, but you need some of these guys to come in with that mentality, to come in ready, to come in maybe with something to prove. Because that at the end of the day is going to benefit the team. You're doing it a little bit for yourself. At the end of the day, you play for a team. And he got those 3 points. Honestly, he got those 3 points for us. Because if we're being honest, before that, not a lot was going on. A lot of back and forth.
Yeah.
We had a lot of possession throughout the whole game, and a lot of shots, but just nothing was going in. Nothing was finishing. He comes in, makes the difference, gets the 3 points, and he deserves the headlines right now. I think he
Yeah. Well
deserves
said.
those that this moment right now, and good for him. He got the jersey signed by all his teammates. He's feeling maybe involved and accepted by this new group that he's coming into, and all that plays into maybe how these players perform on the pitch. So good for him, good for him. He has everything he needs right now. Who knows? A lot of people are expecting him to be a bench player. I think I'm kind of in that same boat also, but he can be our super sub this season. Every season we
Yeah.
need a good bench. We need that guy to step up coming off the bench. So who knows? Maybe this can be our guy. He kind of already proved it a little bit. There is a long season. We're barely just 2 games into it, um, but one more could you ask for? This is what people want. So, um, I'm happy. I'm happy for Christian Ramirez. I'm
No,
glad
yeah,
he's part of the
100%.
team.
100%, bro. And you mentioned, him coming off of the bench. There was some questions that were asked on the space. Some folks were saying, "Hey, well, if I wanted Mirtu Usuni to start against Charlotte, or if I wanted Christian Ramirez to start that game," and for me, the starter is still Mirtu Usuni. Christian Ramirez is a player that has made a name for himself in this league, coming off of the bench at 70th minute, 60th minute. Like you said, he's a super sub, right? And he's not a stranger to this league. You mentioned it earlier. He's been a champion with LAFC, champion with Columbus. He's passed by through teams like Minnesota. He's been through Houston. He's been through the LA Galaxy, who placed him on waivers that ultimately got him with Austin FC. And, this is a player that for me is going to be a fantastic player off the bench for Austin. He let us know also that there's going to be games where he's going to start for sure. That's possible 100%. But he's ready for anything. He's ready to come off the bench. He's ready to be the starter. He's ready to help his teammates with anything. And then something I thought that was very interesting, Primo, after the match, he said that since the Galaxy was played DC United in preseason, that he was able to use some of the things that he learned in preseason from watching film or studying them. And in real time, Austin against DC United, he was talking to the bench, he was talking to the coaches, waiting for his moment to come on, but he was giving them information. And he said that there was moments in the match that the information that he gave Austin, that they were exploiting this DC side and chances were being created or whatnot. So I thought that was very interesting. Not only is he useful on the pitch, he's also useful, either off not off the pitch as maybe a player waiting to come in. Not even talking about his leadership qualities. I think this is a player that is going to offer a bunch of that, a boatload of that. I mean, the experience that he has in this league, the only other guy that has that kind of experience is Elias Sanchez. You know what I'm saying? So you have another leader in this locker room, and that's just going to do really good things for this Austin FC side, 100%. And on the Christian Ramirez topic, since we're getting kind of into the financials and all that stuff, Tom Bogert let us know that Austin FC was going to pay 225,000 of Ramirez's budget charge this year. The current deal ends after the season. And then we took it a step further, mate. Via our sources, we were able to confirm that Ramirez was going to cost the Galaxy 603.5 thousand. So pretty much Austin got him for literally more than half of what LA Galaxy was going to pay this guy, or what was going to pay to have this guy on their roster. And there's rumors that the LA Galaxy really did him dirty, that the coaching staff out there kind of did him dirty or whatnot. But that kind of goes on to the quote that he gave us post match, where he says that it was a very emotional week. We have it here on screen. He says it was a special. It's been he said it was special. It's been a long week, an emotional week. It was a much needed win, and hopefully it's momentum we can build from. And then he also goes on to say, we have another quote here. He says that on any given day, whatever is needed, he's a selfless person, and that he's already told his teammates whatever they need from him on the field and off the field, that he's going to be there. And that, to me, Primo, that's just leadership 100%. So, this is a guy that is coming here to score goals. He's not here to play any kind of games. And if I'm not mistaken, via the roster profile release that was sent out a couple days ago, he's confirmed as a supplemental roster player. I don't think it can get better than that. To have Christian Ramirez on your team for at least one season, paying him what you're paying him, being on supplemental roster, I think that's very important. Rodo definitely cooked with this signing. And hey, just last thing on that, thank you to the Galaxy for letting him go 100%. Oof, Christian Ramirez, what a player. And he really saved the day, because if he didn't win that match, what would we be talking about here tonight on the Top Flight Podcast, Primo? It would have been very, very, very difficult, mate. And like we said earlier, he was named to the MLS Team of the Match Day. I think that's very important for him. Not in the starting 11, but on the bench. Joao Klaus had a fantastic performance. Messi had a fantastic performance. Not sure what Jovic did there, although he isn't in my fantasy team. But I'm happy to see him there, because that means that we got points, brother. That means that we got points on that one, man. But no, some quotes here from Coach Nico, post-match comments. This is on the corner kicks and on the set pieces, Primo. He says that last year, I believe we were one of the best teams in the West in offensive set pieces, especially on corners. And when you look at this DC game, brother, when you analyze it, when you look at the highlights, or if you rewatched it, whatever, you clearly see Austin FC was getting ahead on every single corner that was going into that box. And not only were they getting ahead on it, there were great deliveries. There were dangerous deliveries by Facundo Torres. And it's a bit of a breath of fresh air for this Austin FC side that for so long, Primo, struggled with corner kicks, struggled with free kicks, struggled with quality service into the box. And now with a guy like Facundo Torres, you have all that. And, I'm surprised that Austin didn't get one from one of the many corner kicks that they had. But also credit to Nico Bosch. He's the assistant coach his job is to identify any kind of weaknesses in teams where they can exploit them, either in set pieces, in corner kicks, dead ball situations. So credit to Nico Bosch, because definitely he's had a lot to do with how dangerous this team has looked in corner kicks, how dangerous this team has looked in dead ball situations. And I just wanted to give him credit 100%. Coach Nico Bosch, he's an assistant. Maybe those guys don't get all the credit that they deserve, but right now, today, based off of what we've seen from dead ball situations, from set pieces, that's all Coach Nico Bosch, mate. Anything you'd like to add on that, brother?
No, I think we did a fantastic job in those corners. I think I had it right here. I think we had 10 corners altogether. Having like a guy like Facundo delivering those corners, he puts the balls in really good, and someone that you can use. You can't maybe expect too much from him. Receiving corners, he's not the tallest guy, so he might not get a header. So him taking them is completely understandable. I think he's made a huge difference. You kind of already saw it last week versus Minnesota, but this game against DC, we had a lot coming in, and every corner looked good. I think it's a combination of us just improving those dead ball situations, and maybe just DC not being too good at them. But all that falls under the coach that you mentioned, Coach Nico, the assistant coach who's in charge of.
There's like 5 Nicos in there.
Yeah, something like that. And so, shout out Coach Nico for not the assistant, but I mean not the head, but the assistant coach, and kind of finding those things, man. And
Yeah.
so it feels good. It kind of reminded me a little bit of when Fagundes was taking those free kicks or those
You
corners
take
for
you
us.
going way back, bro. You're
And
going
I'm
way
like, man,
back.
well, it's because since then I just feel like we haven't really had like a solid pair that can deliver
Fair.
those set pieces. So having Facundo do that for us is looking really good. You know, everything's kind of coming together,
Yeah,
um, and kind of
I
getting
agree.
cleaned up a little bit. You know, we see it maybe game by game. We might not see it all together in one game, but every game has its improvements. Every game has something that looked good. In this game, those corners of set pieces were a big highlight.
I agree, mate. So credit to Nico Bosch. He is the coach that takes care of these situations, and you could tell that there's work, that goes into it. Salome, our very own Salome, she asked Coach Nico that exactly post match in the press conference, and Coach Nico, he gave credit to Nico Bosch, and he said that it's something that they've been working on since preseason. They were one of the best teams in the West last year on those situations, corner kick, set pieces, and all that. And you could tell that they're definitely putting in work. Now, on defense, there needs to be a little bit more emphasis. They got to control the skies a little bit more. But on offense, this team looks much more dangerous on corner kicks, on dead ball situations. And I think that's a lot of credit to not only Nico Bosch, but Facundo Torres for the delivery into the boxes in any kind of situation. Either it's a corner kick or a free kick. I think we do got to give them credit 100%, brother. But 1-0, La Minima, as we like to say. Christian Ramirez on his debut, saving the day. I mean, it doesn't get more special than that, brother. And even the goal came from a cross delivered by Facundo Torres. There was a little bit of a bounce around in the box. Savovic gets the shot off. It's blocked. The ball is still in the area, bounces up. And Christian Ramirez, with all his experience that he has acquired in this league, I mean, not only it's some people might header that softly, they get underneath it and you lob it, but if you look at the motion of his neck, it's clearly a downwards header, la quiere picar, and that just it makes it more menacing. It makes it more difficult for anybody that's on the line trying to save it. The goalkeeper was out of the question, so it makes it difficult for any defender, to kind of put their body in there and keep the ball out of the goal. And I just wanted to give credit to the technique that Christian Ramirez showed us there. And that's exactly what he brings to this Austin FC side, Mitch. He's a very experienced player, like we've been talking about, but he also has that instinct in the box to finish these chances, mate. And speaking of instinct, I don't think that we can get through this game recap without talking about Mirto Suni. Coach Nico let us know that the DC center backs were doing a fantastic job on him, that they were marking him. He had double marks for big portions of the match. It wasn't easy for him to get free. And I saw a lot of that. There was moments where Mirto Suni was asking for the ball, but he was in between two very tall center backs. I don't know maybe what he was expecting there. I think he needed to get free a little bit more. But with Mirto Suni, you never question his pressing. You never question his running, right? He's always pressing. He's always putting pressure on opponent's back line. And there was a chance in the 92nd minute where everybody thought, I include myself, where Mirto Suni was going to put the game to bed. He was going to make it 2-0, pack it up, finish your soda, finish your pretzel, finish your double days pizza. It's time to get out of here because it's 2-0. And, some folks have come after Mirto Suni harshly. They're saying that he can't score a goal without the ball hitting him and going into the back of the net. I push back on that 100%. I think this player has quality. However, this chance that I am speaking about in the 92nd minute, the Mirto Suni in Granada scores that. The Mirto Suni that was killing it in Spain scores that 100%. And you can't say that it is all him, because if you look at this sequence in the highlight, or if you in your rewatch, there's really nobody supporting him, right? I think CJ was the closest one. There was really nobody checking in. But I also want to say that they probably believed that Mirto Suni was going to finish that off 100%. And there's a famous line that Jared Borghetti once said when they asked him, how is he so successful with the back to the goal? Because one of the things that Jared Borghetti used to be really good at was that he used to receive the ball back to the goal, spin once, half spin, get a shot off, and it was either a goal or it was on net. And Primo, the goal never moves. Does the goal move, brother? Does the goal move?
The goal
No,
never
no.
moved.
The goal never moves, brother, right? And so from my seat in the press box, in my head, because there can't be any reactions up there, you got to be cool, calm, and collected. In my head, I was just saying, backheel it, backheel it, backheel it. We've seen multiple players pull off those kind of finishes in any kind of league, right? And I think Mirto Suni was just caught in between two minds. I think he was caught in between two minds. He was probably looking for a supporting cast member. He was also thinking about finishing the chance. He had done all the hard job already. It was a bad pass from DC United back to their keeper. It was a very terrible half-ass pass. Mirto Suni intercepts it. The hard part of pressing the back line, the hard part of getting rid of Sean Johnson was done. The only thing left was to finish, to put the ball into the back of the net, to backheel it, get any kind of touch on the ball, to just send it into the back of the net and kill the game off. And I just think he was caught in between two minds, brother. I mean, you saw this, you saw the highlight. I mean, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, confidence is there and everything's there. He finishes that that's something I think should be expected of him. Maybe a little unlucky. Um, but I agree with you as far as the support that he's getting right now. As far as like in the pitch, I don't really see a lot too much connecting with him going on with any other player right now. He kind of just has to find the ball on his own sometimes. Um, I saw a lot of passing to Jaden this last game,
Mm,
and not a lot coming from Jaden, if I'm being honest. He was getting the ball a lot more than Mirto,
yeah.
not doing a lot with it. So, it's
Mm,
just one of those things. I know he's been catching a lot of fire lately. I know he was under a lot of heat, especially from last season. Kind of rolled over a little bit into this season. But give it some time. Give it some time. I don't think there's anyone else that could start in that position except for Mirto Suni right now. I think if you put in some of the other guys, you might maybe get some of the same results. If I'm being honest, I think um, skill wise, I think he is capable of making those goals.
mm-hmm.
It's something that's probably expected by by the whole fan base, but um. I don't know. I don't know if it's a confidence thing at this point. 2 games in, it's still maybe a little hard to tell.
Mm-hmm.
But kind of what I've been getting from, especially from the fans, since I've been getting the fan reactions, and
Yeah, yeah,
first
exactly. Yeah, tell us
first
that.
first thing that I'm kind of getting right now is that the vibes are still good. The vibes are still good. Everyone's still kind of hopeful. Everyone's still, and Mirtu honestly wasn't mentioned too much in those interviews, I think.
Okay, wow.
Yeah. So even though he did have that miss, not a lot of Mirtu was brought up this time around. A lot more was brought up of him the last fan interviews. The last game versus Minnesota. I think because it was a home opener, he had a lot of eyes on him. Um,
And he got a
but for
goal?
and he got a goal. Yeah, he got a goal. But this time around, not a lot was being spoken of Mirtu Suni. I think he was maybe brought up like once. But what I'm getting is that everyone's still positive about the season. Everyone's still seeing it as an improved team. Um, and so everyone's still positive. I don't think there's any, shouldn't be any worry about Mirtu Suni right now. I don't think you should write him off quite yet. Um, I think he just needs to get rolling. I think he just needs to find
Yeah.
his footing, dude. Especially,
And
you know, first full year in. I think it's time. I think it's kind of a little overdue, but I think once he does, we can get that Granada Usuni for sure.
oh man, the fans would love to have that player. And that's why I say to start him in Charlotte, because Charlotte is a team that completely wet the bed against the Galaxy. I mean, they look terrible defensively, so many mistakes. You think that Dean Smith has these guys working more efficiently, working as a team? You know what I'm saying? I really thought Charlotte was going to maybe not take care of business because this is a newer Galaxy, but just not look that bad, brother. And I know Austin has to go to Charlotte to the bank. They play much different when they're at home. They had to they had to go to the West Coast. I'm sure that was a big change for them. This country is enormous. I'm sure that probably had something to do with it or whatnot. But I would start Mirto Suni in Charlotte, see if he can get that confidence, see if he can get things rolling, right? Hey, to be able to save 2 goals in 3 games, that's still a pretty good stat for a player in his position. It would have been phenomenal to be able to say 2 goals in 2 games from Mirto Suni, but unfortunately, he didn't take care of the chance that was presented. There wasn't many chances for him. Coach Nico did say that they weren't really too worried about the amount of touches that Mirto Suni had in the game versus DC. It was, I believe, 11 or 12. It was more about getting the ball out to Jaden Nelson, getting the ball out to Joseph Rosales, and then thinking about crossing it in, right? That was more of the game plan. It wasn't just Firu Suni, look for Osuni. Everybody was getting involved, right? So, and then Coach Nico says that he was being marked quite well, double team at times. So that's something that we got to keep under consideration 100%. But start Osuni in Charlotte, get his confidence going, because after Charlotte, you got LAFC, and they're not going to be too nice. You know what I'm saying? This is a super team in MLS. You got Hyomin Son, you got Denny Boanga, Eustakio, who is now with them. So just something to keep an eye on. Mirto Suni is a player that has quality. He is a fantastic player based off the things that we've seen in his previous teams like Granada, which is why he was signed here to Austin FC. But there's still things that he owes the fan base, and he knows it. He knows it more than anybody, because there was a quote that Coach Nico gave us where he says that Mirto Suni is trying to get the pressure off of his shoulders from not scoring as much last season. He knows that very well. He's very conscious of that. So I think we can leave the Mirto Suni topic there. Start him against Charlotte. Bring on Christian Ramirez late in the game if you need to, like what we saw against DC United. And just kind of keep that flow going until Brandon Vasquez comes back. When Brandon Vasquez comes back, I believe the entire team is going to change. I mean, you have 4 players that are not Robert Taylor, right? Robert Taylor can fight for that position, but Owen is a starter. Mikael Dessler fights for his position to start. Brandon Vasquez is a starter. When those 3 players come back, this squad, the competition is going to be through the roof, and the squad itself can look different when we're talking about the starting 11s on match days, brother. So we'll see what happens. I'm excited to see what the season has for a player like Mirto Suni. We've been talking about his sophomore season, his second year. Let him cook. Let's see what happens. And the last thing that I'll say on it, if it doesn't work out, we know that Rodo Borrell, he doesn't have a heart in this business. He has just eyes and ears, and he's a businessman, 100%. And if Mirto Suni, unfortunately, if it's not able to click for him, you'd think that he might be getting the Osman Bukhari treatment, where they're looking for a solution either, I hate to say it, but maybe in the summer, maybe towards the end of the year. I'm not in that camp that wants to see him gone. I want to see a full season of Mirto Suni in 2026, just to really see the adaptation that he's been able to go through. His family is still not here, but more goals, more goal contributions is what the fan base is asking for him. And the fan base should know that Mirto Suni is also asking that from himself 100%, brother. But, big ups to Christian Ramirez for getting the goal. Austin looked very dangerous on the corner kicks, on set pieces, on dead ball situations. Credit to Nico Bosch and Nico Esteves for all the work that they've been putting in preseason and in training sessions. But really nothing much that this game can really give us, brother. I mean, Brad Stuber had nothing to do. Ty Bariba was shut down. We talked about that with Coach Nico midweek leading up to this game. What did the team have to do to shut this guy down? And they did. 0 shots on goal, 1 off target. His XG, you'd thought it was my XG from the press box, because it was almost nothing. I mean, credit to Svatok, credit to Hindsight, credit to John Gallagher, credit to Guillermo Viru, who comes back into the starting 11 for Jan Komanich. I mean, those boys really did their job. Stuber had nothing to do, and that's rare. 100% rare. And I made sure to not make a tweet this time, because last time I jinxed Stuber. So no tweet, no jinx. We're good. We're good on that department, brother. But Primo, before we change topics, man, anything you want to add to the DC United game, or any other comments that you would like to add, brother?
I really enjoyed Vito. Coming back.
100%.
You can notice the shift that he puts in on these games, and just really solid in the defense. I think he was letting really almost nothing go through on his side. He was really, really solid. So shout out Vito. I think we're gonna come out with the same lineup. I think this is our lineup for right now, as far as dealing with injuries and things like that. Um, so I'm expecting the exact same lineup next game. I think everyone did a decent job for them to keep their starting position. I would want to see maybe a couple players step up a little bit more. I want to see more Joseph Rosales. I want to see a little bit more Jaden. Um, and I'm still waiting on that Facundo goal, man. I'm still waiting on that Facundo goal. So hopefully that comes this next game. But overall, I think we had we pick up the 3 points. I'm not gonna say it was a good game because it was 0-0 for most of it. Um, we weren't finishing chances, but overall, we get the 3 points. We're trying to get as many points as we can throughout the league. That's at the end of the day, I don't want to be in the position where we have to win games. So
Hmm.
we're getting
Those
as
those
many.
those must wins that I'm very famous
Yes,
for.
yeah, those must wins. So I'm like, they're taking care of business right now, early. Technically, still undefeated. So I'll leave it at that with this DC game.
Hey, last thing, mate. Apparently we are being cited on betting websites. They're using not only WATV but also our boy Logan from Verde Nation. Um, on RotoWire Soccer. They're on the Mikel Dessler situation. They're using some of our stuff. They're giving us credit, and also Brandon Vasquez on his. They cited the Verde Nation. So that's pretty cool.
Was it like betting? Like so, like
Yeah,
what
like
they're betting on when they're gonna come back?
no,
Was
no,
it?
no, 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 no. Well, actually, I don't know. I don't know, but I just know that they're betting websites and they're using our information as like trying to figure out who's gonna play and who's not. I think that's pretty cool.
Leverage and
That's
stuff.
pretty
All right,
fantastic.
that's what's up,
That's
man.
pretty cool.
We're
Yeah,
awesome
shout out to
TV.
Logan as well.
Trusted source. Better
Trusted source, you
nation.
already
We're
know. I
awesome
mean,
TV.
the players are following. You should too, man. You should too. But no, that was the DC game. I mean, it was a 1-0 match. I mean, Christian Ramirez, like we said, saved the day. And other than that, it was just Austin dangerous on those set pieces. Looking really good on those dead ball situations. Stuber had nothing to do. They shut down Ty Baribo. And no, I think that's kind of really everything that went into this game. I mean, another thing that I thought was very interesting is when Coach Nico made all those subs and you had CJ, you had Christian Ramirez, and you had Mirto Suni on the pitch at the same time. I mean, that's throwing the all the meat on the grill. So I just wanted to give credit to
Oh
Coach
yeah.
Nico Estevez for really chasing the win, really wanting to get those 3 points, and at the end of the day, they got them 100%. So that's cool. I'm happy for them, brother, 100%, and best of luck to them moving forward. But all righty, brother. I want to move on to a little bit of the roster profile breakdown because we get the information that Dani Pereira is now TAM. We get the information that José Rosales is now TAM. Ramirez is supplemental roster, as we talked about earlier. Ilya Sanchez, I believe, slipped out of the supplemental roster. He's not on that anymore. But what I wanted to really kind of spend time on this real quick is the fact that there is an international slot that is now open. And maybe this is a little bit of transfer rumor information that some folks out there don't really know of yet. We've been talking about it with some people outside the country, and the information didn't come from us first. I was contacted by a journalist from Honduras, and he asked me, he was like, "Hey, can you investigate something for me in Austin?" And at the time, Primo, there was no international slots available. Everything had been sold or loaned out by Rodo Borrell. And I said that this was impossible. There was no way that this could happen. There wasn't any international slots available for this player. But now things changed. And via our sources here in Austin, I was told that Davy Flores, Honduran defensive midfielder, is a possibility for Austin FC. Now, does it mean that it's going to happen? No. It's a possibility, which you can translate it to interest, right? With an international spot open and this player being a free agent and time running out, This is lining up to be a Rodo signing if I know what a Rodo signing is. Okay? Now, the information that we have is that it is a possibility. There's questions that are being asked. And we're also getting word from Honduras that this player is being asked about, or that Austin FC is asking about his availability. He's coming off of a season in Saudi Arabia. He's had time in MLS. He's played with Toronto, if I'm not mistaken. I believe he also played with he played with two teams in MLS, and I know Toronto is one. But he's a defensive midfielder. Think about Johan Valencia kind of profile. And definitely things have changed from a week and a half ago or a week ago to where we are now. Information from Austin is saying that it is a possibility. Our sources are able to confirm that to us. And there's sources from outside of the country that are also saying the same thing. So if an international slot is available because Jada Nelson is no longer counted as an international because Canadian players don't take that spot anymore, this is now a little bit more serious. Last week, I criticized this rumor. I said that it was impossible because of what the circumstances that Austin FC found themselves in. Things have changed now. There's a vacant international roster spot, and things are pointing at it could go to defensive midfielder Davy Flores. That's information coming from us, information coming from Honduras as well. And I just wanted to put that out there, Primo. Any thoughts on that, brother?
I mean, that's exciting to hear, man. I mean, any rumors, anything connecting players to Austin City, always exciting to hear. But I think you hit it spot on. This sounds like a Roto signing, man. It has all the ingredients. I heard free. I heard free player. I
Yep.
heard international spot open. It's all kind of lining up. There's apparently news buzzing. So if it happens, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
This is him.
The
This is
yeah,
Davy.
looks good. Looks good. Central, you said central
Very
defensive
Johan
man.
Johan Valencia kind of player.
Okay. Um, I'm sure we'll fit it into the team somehow if it does end up happening. We need some good rotation, I think, this season. Um, but it sounds like it's kind of lining up. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens at this point with the information that you gave me and that you provided. I wouldn't be surprised if it happened. The Cristina Ramirez signing, I think, was a little bit of a surprise.
100%.
But this one, with the information that you brought up, it's looking good. So it's lining up. Another
Yeah.
Honduran player, which I think Joseph Rosales. I think this is a good player, but I think it's not intentional, but the fans that he's bringing in, man, the Honduras fans. I get the past two fan interviews, Daniel's little brother Iker, they're Honduran, so he brought out his flag this
They
last
had the flag.
fan
I saw
interview.
it. I saw it.
Had the flag,
I
had it
saw it.
signed by Joseph Rosales. So these players
Really?
bring in, yeah. So these players bring in fans, man. So it's good to see, international players at the end of the day just coming to Austin.
Yeah. Yeah. And so a little bit of history on Davy Flores. We have here, he started his career in Platense, also Motagua from Honduras.
Ottawa, yeah.
That's a very big team, no, primo? Motagua,
Yeah,
right?
people know that one, yeah.
And so that was his youth career. He went with Motagua with his senior career. He had 22 appearances there. He went on loan to Vancouver, primo. That's the other team. He was with Vancouver on loan. Then he went on loan with Whitecaps FC2. After that, he went back to Motagua on loan. He was with Motagua on loan for about 2 years. Then he went to Olimpia, which is like the Real Madrid of Honduras, right? That's your stepdad's team. I know that very well.
Olympia.
Olimpia. He was there from 2018 to 2021. After that, he went to Panatolikos, which is a team in Greece, a Greek professional football club. After that, he went to Fehervar, a Hungarian professional club. He was there for one season. Then he went to Toronto for 2024 and 2025. So he was in MLS not too long ago, brother. And after that, from 25 to 26, he was with Al Najma Sports Club, a Saudi Arabian football team based in Unaiza that competes in the Saudi Pro League. So he probably played against Ronaldo, 25, 26. Very interesting there. For international, though, he was with Honduras U17s, with the Honduras U20s, and with the Honduras senior team. So this is a guy that knows Joseph Rosales very well, right? There's partnership there. Los Catrachos and the two homies from El Callejon. You know who I'm talking about? The
Oh
homie with the
yeah,
long
yeah,
curly
yeah,
hair
yeah,
and the one with the shade with the bucket hat. They asked me about him, and everything that I said on the pod today, I told them, and dude, their eyes they were like little kids in a candy store, bro. It was like they were so happy what I was telling them. And they told me, I don't know, I couldn't confirm this, but they told me that they heard or they saw that Davy Flores was at Q2 versus DC United. I couldn't confirm that. I don't know if anybody listening can confirm that. If you can, please let us know. But if Davy Flores was at Q2, that is very hot. It's hot, brother. It's hot. It's on the grill, 100%. So just keep an eye on that. Like I said, a week ago, this was a don't even bring this up to me kind of rumor because of things that have now happened. Our sources in Austin are saying that this is somewhat of a possibility. And like we mentioned earlier, free agent, whatever you want to call it, needing a team, defensive midfielder, and he might occupy the international roster slot, but there's one available for Austin FC if Jadon Nelson is confirmed to not need one of those slots. So it all points to a Rodo signing, brother. But we can leave it there, brother. We can leave it there. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens. I mean, we know Ilie is not, he's not 21 anymore, right? But he's still putting on really good shifts for Austin FC. But you think that maybe Rodo is, hey, maybe looking at some more reinforcements. And also, who's to say that this player is going to be a defensive midfielder? We've seen multiple position changes. We saw Rosales go from a fullback to winger. We saw CJ Fodry go from a winger to a forward. So who knows what the plan is with a guy like Davy Flores, but we know that he is more associated with that defensive midfielder spot. The two homies, they told me that they compare him to Gerardo Torrado. And I was like, guys, I understand if he's your countryman, but don't compare him to a legend like Gerardo Torrado. You're setting him up for failure, guys. Come on, brother. And they were like, sí, hermano. Gerardo Torrado, sí, hermano. And I was like, all right, okay, guys, come on, guys. All right, now let's settle down. So just keep an eye out on that, primo. Everybody listening, keep an eye out on that exclusive information that you're getting here from the pod. But all righty, brother. I want to spend a little bit of time on this announcement that it's actually kind of fun. It's one of the things that I really wanted to get into here today on the pod, and it's the fact that apparently MLS is going to allow teams to sell new ad space on the back of jerseys, on the lower back, some people are calling it the tramp stamp, after the All-Star break, right? I think that's very interesting. And the article from Sportico pretty much says that the move will take effect after the All-Star break. It's an opportunity for clubs to add to their annual sponsorship haul, making more money, right? It's also comes amid a broader set of changes for the league, which is shifting into what Commissioner Don Garber has called MLS 3.0. That includes additional resources for player development, a handful of new stadiums, a dramatic change in the league schedule, and any impact from the U.S. co-hosting the Men's World Cup later this year. I think that's pretty much the main idea. And we made a post with jerseys, the Miracle 21 with Apple. We also put one out there with Brandon Vasquez with Whole Foods.
Whole Foods.
Those
I
are
like
the
that
only
one.
two. Yeah, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. But on that topic, brother, what company do you think would maybe partner up with Austin for something like this? I mean, we have so many things to choose from in Austin. We have the Whole Foods, right? You have H-E-B, who everybody's asking for. You have company. I know this might get some pushback, but you have SpaceX, right? I know Elon Musk is not popular. You also have Lamborghini, which has a place in was it South Lamar or is it North Lamar, whatever it's considered. But you have Lamborghini there. You have NI. You have Oracle. You have Samsung. You have Amazon. You have Kendra Scott, right? I mean, there's so many things that you can choose from. You have Indeed. You have Verbo. There's so many companies that are headquartered here in Austin that you'd think that they would be jumping at this opportunity to get more brand exposure. And you'd think that Austin FC would be already thinking about, well, hey, who are we going to look for to fill in that spot on the lower back of our jersey? And I want to say this to the club. I gave you a free survey. Literally, if you look at that post, that is a free survey of what Austin FC fans are thinking about. I think 80% are against it. They want to keep the jerseys clean. They reference the Liga MX jerseys and how nasty they look with all the sponsorships on there. I understand where they're coming from, Primo, but I also understand that teams need to make money. And I think this is a good opportunity for Austin FC to make some extra revenue, to make some extra cash. And if I'm being quite honest, it's a team that does need that. They do need that extra money. They need any kind of support because the previous administration left them in the gutter. And I don't know why people are still stuck on calling for Claudio Reyna to come back when the guy wasn't even in the office for big chunks of the time. And I don't want to get into much of that, but people were working from home when that guy was here, brother. And that's not the case anymore. But anyways, it's a good opportunity for these teams to make extra money. It's a good opportunity for these companies to, partner up with Austin if they haven't done before. I mean, I think Yeti looks fantastic on the front of the jersey. Let's see if we can add something to the back that looks just as good, right? So, I mean, what do you think, Primo? Who do you think might be selected to be on the back of Austin FC's jerseys?
I think it's a good idea. First of all, I like the look. I think it kind of adds a little bit more character to the jersey. Um, and I think at the end of the day, yeah, I hope they put into consideration like what the fans want, what it's gonna look like, how it's gonna sell. Because to be honest, I love the Yeti sponsorship on the front. I love that Yeti is that sponsor. So whoever I get, I hope that they have that same charm as Yeti. So someone maybe big, I'm maybe hoping, well, not hoping, but my guess is maybe like Amazon, maybe someone big like Amazon. I know they have a big influence here in Austin.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned, I think it's gonna be some tech company. I think it's gonna be tech. Tech is
Yeah, it
booming
has
right
to
now
be
in
tech.
Austin.
Has to be tech.
Whether it's Oracle, whether
HEB,
it's
HEB, Ray,
Dell,
HEB, HEB, brother.
HEB got they got the new corners, the new gate. So they might want to throw in some more like, hey, get us on that jersey.
I mean, look
It
at this.
looks
Look at this Liga MX jersey, right? You got one sponsor here. You got the Puma sponsor over here. You got the Caliente Dead Center as their Yeti, and then you got whatever that is on the bottom. I guess it's like an Allstate kind of company. I don't know what that is. And I'm sure you got these right here on the side, the sleeves. You got the Puma there again. You got the Puma there again, and I think it's just part of this new world that soccer is. And I understand the fans, bro, that they don't want this. It's gonna look nasty. It's gonna be a tramp stamp or whatnot. But you gotta be thinking that the president, Andy Laughlin, is already wondering. He's already, who am I gonna get? Who am I gonna go for? You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta be, they're businessmen in that sector, brother. They're businesswomen in that sector as well. So I think Austin is gonna be one of the first teams to have somebody locked in. I think they are. I think they really are because there's tons of companies that want to get on 100%. And like you mentioned, I think tech will be it. Either HEB or a big tech company. I think that's the only way to go if you're Austin FC right now. You know what I'm saying?
Austin FC. I think is hot right now for like
Yeah.
stuff like that, like sponsorships.
Yeah.
Like I think companies are looking at Austin as like a whole. So they know that Austin's booming right now. It's been popping for the last few years. So anything
Mm-hmm.
Austin related, I feel like big companies are just waiting to get into it. So I think
Yeah.
they're if it ends up happening, I think they're gonna lock down someone big. Um, I think someone as big or maybe bigger than Yeti. But I think I think you want your main sponsor on the front, so maybe not as big, but. Um, I think at the end of the day, it works. At the end of the day, the
Yeah.
sponsorship works. I find myself buying more Yeti products. I have like 10 Yeti cups. I feel
Yes.
good wearing Yeti on my chest on game
Thank
days.
you. Thank you for saying that because I felt weird before. Because when I need a car battery, when I need a new little light bulb for the back, for the tail light of my vehicle, I always go to O'Reilly's because O'Reilly's is partnered with Austin FC. I don't go to AutoZone. I don't go to Pet Boys. You know what I'm saying? I don't go to Advanced Auto Parts. I go to O'Reilly's because I'm supporting Austin in that way. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, sponsorship works, bro. So, as long as it's something that people can get behind, it's not a company that gets some pushback like SpaceX or Tesla. If we can stay away from those two, I'm fine. I'm fine with that. I'm not too worried about that. I think Elon Musk is a guy you want to maybe stay away from right now, if I'm being quite honest. But there's so many good companies in Austin that fans, I think, would appreciate. It would be even cooler if it's like a company that's local, a company like HEB. I think HEB fits the bill perfectly. And like Monterrey Rayados, on the back of their jersey, they have HEB but in black. Imagine that on Austin FC
Okay.
jerseys. It would look really good, bro. It would look really good. So, well, I
There
think
you
we'll just
go.
leave it at that. I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. What I'm saying, it's a way to make more money. And Austin is going to take that opportunity. I guarantee you, y'all. At least that's what I believe. It's not mandatory, but it's a good opportunity to make some extra cash. And I think that the team is going to take it 100%. And I hope folks are just ready for it because the league is changing every single year. There's something new every single year. And this is something to make extra money. And it is what it is. We'll just leave it at that. Last but not least, we can get into the Austin FC2 topic, brother. We'll spend a couple minutes on here. Diego Valencia and I made the trip to Palmer Field. We had a double header. Busy, busy, busy day last Sunday, bro. Yesterday, I got home at around like 11 or 12 midnight. I didn't go to bed till like 2 in the morning because I wanted to work on some clips. Got up at 5 to go to work. And I was a little bit let down by Coach Jason Shackle, brother, because Brett Utley, it didn't matter if he lost the game, he always had time for the media, bro. And I made my day. I scheduled my day in a way so I could be available for the doubleheader. I wanted to speak with Jason Shackle. He's the new coach. I mean, looking at his resume, Premier League defender, very, very accomplished in the Prem. And I was watching the game, and he was very animated on the sidelines. I was like, man, I want to talk to this guy. I want to get to talk. I want to talk to Jason Shackle. And the boys got beat 4-2. We'll get into the game right now, but they don't have to talk to the media. They don't. I don't think that they do. They're not obligated to. But I really did appreciate Brett Utley in the way that he always had time for Moises, for Laura, for myself. And I was a little bit let down by the first impression of Coach Jason Shackle that he didn't come over here and speak with us. And we'll be back there next week. They play Ventura County next one, and I'll be there because I still want to speak with him. And I'd love to just ask him a couple of questions. And if you lose, if you win, we're gonna be there. You know what I'm saying? And our platform is not there to you know, just destroy these guys. Our platform is there to get the news out. Our platform is there to inform the people. And I think the people really wanted to hear from Jason Shackle on his debut as head coach. It didn't go the way that they wanted to 100%. But I think that at least he should have still shown a little bit of face. And I'll be back next week. I'll be there next Sunday. I'll do my best to be there next Sunday. But I can't lie. I can't lie. I was a little bit let down that it was a long day, literally from 9 a.m. to midnight, when 11 or 12 midnight when I got home. And when I left my house, one of the main things that I wanted to do was speak with Jason Shackle. And it is what it is. I'll be back next week. Let's see what happens, and we can get into the game. Austin FC2 lost out against Minnesota United FC2. We have here on screen the final results. Urban Torres was the player that spoke with us post-match. Everybody really wasn't feeling it. I guess they all kind of felt the same way as Jason Shackle. I asked for Jorge Alastoy. He said he really wasn't feeling it. I asked for Jacques Barro. He said he really wasn't feeling it as well. Asked for Urban Torres. Came over, spoke with us, asked him a couple of questions. Those will be up very soon. And quality lad, top class, just top lad, 100%. But on the game, 4-2, as you see here, the final score. But I'll say this, mate. The result is a liar. The result is not how the match went at all, 100%, brother. Austin FC should have won this game. Austin FC was the most threatening team. Austin FC had Minnesota against the ropes. Austin FC had everything to win this match. They hit the crossbar 3 times. There was a penalty that was missed by the referee. The referee missed so many calls. He gave Adrian Gonzalez a red card that I really questioned 100%. The referee had a big influence in this game, and it wasn't the good kind. And that's why I say that the result was a liar. 100% the result was a liar. I strongly believe Austin was the best team. I really do. And I'll say that the substitutions, the changes that were made at the half, when they came on, they were on fire. They were just on the front foot. They were chasing the game 100%. And that's what added to my interest in speaking with Jason Shackle, because I wanted to ask what was the halftime conversation? Because at halftime they were down 3-0. They were down 3-0 and they came out, never gave up. They came out head up 100%. And I wanted to ask him some of these questions. I wanted to, kind of pick his brain a little bit on how his debut went. But like I said, the result was a complete liar. I saw some really good things from a lot of these players. The super draft players, Patrick Kayeli and Stefan, I forget his last name, but he was an attacking player. They were lights out. I think they were fantastic. I think they were very, especially Kayeli, because he was playing in a different position. He's a midfielder, but he was playing left back, probably because he's so fit. But they were menacing. They knew what they had to do. There were some mistakes, sure, mostly in the back, but it's because there's a bunch of new players on this team. You have Evan Watt, new guy, Eddie Glauta, new goalkeeper. And actually, one quick note on that: I spoke with Charlie Farah off camera. He let me know that he had a sprain in his calf that prevented him from having a significant amount of training sessions leading up to this match. So he only had 2 training sessions coming off of an injury. That's why we didn't see him in goal. For me, Charlie Farah, he is the starting keeper for Austin FC2, but now we know why he wasn't in goal. A little bit kind of concerned with how Riley Thomas looked out there. He's a first-team player. He's on that first-team contract. He was brought off at the half because he was kind of off it, if I'm being quite honest. He wasn't the usual Riley Thomas that I saw in 2025 MLS Next Pro. Shake it off. It's a new season. It's match day 100%. We all have those days, right? So just shake it off and then come back. Jorge Alastue, hermano. Jorge Alastue, what a player. I mean, a volley from outside the box. I think you saw the highlight that we shared on the story. I mean, de volea. Didn't even think about it. Ball didn't even drop. I mean, just one time sliced it. The goalie dived for it, but he really couldn't do anything about it. What a player Jorge Alastue is. Very impressed with his performance. Came out there as captain. I mean, so many positives from this game. Like I said, the result is a liar, brother. It is a liar. Minnesota didn't do enough to win this game, and it sucks that they lose their first game at home. But hey, I'm excited for them to face Ventura County. I saw a lot of good things. Micah Burton played well, phenomenal player. At that level, I think he fits really well. He still needs a little bit more to make that jump to the first team. We need to see a little bit more from him. But at that level, he was doing great. We also saw really good performances from Jacques Barro, tank in the midfield 100%. Diego couldn't stop saying nice things about Jacques Barro. He was like, who is that? Who is that? Oh, my God, he's so good. I was like, brother, that's Jacaria Barro. Welcome to Austin FC2. So I know that I'm going off a little bit of a ramble, Primo. I'm going to bring up the starting 11, but I mean, anything you want to add on to this stuff, brother? Austin FC2.
Yeah, I mean, earlier when you mentioned before the pod, you had mentioned that you had gone, and yeah, I think you said something like, "Man, it was a game," and I'm like, "What are you talking about, bro?" Because I saw the score, it was 4-2. But from what you bring up, it seems like there's a good team out there this season. I know a lot of people dwell on that championship team and what all that could have been, but it's slowly building up again. I think Jorge is sounding like a really good player, and he was being looked at for the first team during preseason.
Yeah,
So
I was devastated.
good to hear that he's still putting in work with the second team, and maybe a little unlucky. This first game. It kind of sounded like they had control of it, most of it. Those games are also fun to check out. Highly recommend to go check those games out. I think usually they're like $10 to get in.
Yeah.
So it's a good performance overall. If you still want to get some more soccer in, go check out Austin to C2. From where you brought up, it sounded like it was a good game. So
Yeah.
kind of builds up for that next one.
I'm actually really upset that they changed it to Sunday nights. I thought the Friday nights were awesome. I really did like Friday nights because I would go to work. I'd bring all my stuff with me. I'd go get something to eat, and then I would go to the Austin FC2 games at night, and then I'd wake up the next day and it's Saturday, right? And now I go Sunday, I wake up the next day and it's freaking Monday, bro. So I didn't like that change from MLS Next Pro. I don't really know why they did it. I'm sure there's some explanation somewhere, but I'm too pissed to even look into it. Um, but the starting 11, real quick, you had Lauta in goal. We know that that's because Charlie Farah is coming back from calf injury. Shouldn't be too harsh, right? It should be something to come back from. We'll see Charlie Farah soon. Some good things from Eric Lauta. You could tell this is a new. There's new players in this group, right? There was a lot of players that were let go. Peter Grogan is no longer here. Bonachera is no longer here. Tony Gomez is no longer here. Nico Van Rij is no longer here. So there's new players, you know what I'm saying? There's new guys, and you could tell that there's still an adapting period that they're in right now. You could tell that they're still getting used to playing with one another, right? And so I just wanted to put that out there. Riley Thomas was on defense. Evan Watt, new defender, he was back there. He had some mistakes. He looked a little bit shaky, but even RDZ Flicks was a bit nervous for his debut. So imagine the players that were actually on the pitch, and RDZ Flicks is just out there taking photos, right? So there had to be some nerves in there. Now Jules Berry, French defender, he was here already. I think he did really good. He had the long ball to Jorge Lastre for the first goal. Very nice pass from him. Patrick Kayeli, I mentioned he's a midfielder, but he was playing left back in this game. Jacaria Barro, Maiji, Jacques Barro, tank in the midfield, was just bossing the midfield 100%. Adri Gonzalez, shout out to my boy Adrian, got a red card. You can see his reaction in the photo that RDZ Flicks posted on social media. I think I have it here. I'll put it up here in a bit. But he got a red card. He'll miss next game. Hopefully it's just one match suspension. Mo Barawilla, one of the most exciting players coming from the academy, spent the entire preseason with the first team, and he's a baller. He's a really good player, good kid, good head on his shoulders as well, very serious. He's not out here acting a fool. He's a very serious guy. I really like that about him. Micah Burton, I gave him his flowers earlier. I think he had a good game. He was lively. He was active on the ball. Could have had a goal if I'm not mistaken, but it was not their night. It was not their night 100%. And then Irvin Torres, shout out to Irvin Torres. He's always a threat on the field. He came, I think it was like the 60th or 70th minute when he was brought off by Coach Jason Shackle. But overall, good performance from Irvin. Jorge Lastre, we mentioned him. He got the brace. His goals kept this team alive throughout the night. And then as substitutions, you had Vlad on the bench, who spent the preseason with the first team. You had Marcel Russell. You had Daniel Chelsa. Ibrahim Asal, who, when the media was invited to the training session at the beginning of the season, he was there watching he was watching the teams train. I guess he was deciding if he was going to sign or not, and we were all wondering what he was doing there, who he was, and then a couple of days later we found out that he signed for Austin FC2. Very exciting player. I thought he did great. Coach Jason Shackle was screaming on the sideline. He was like, Ibrahim, press! Ibrahim, press! He's a big guy, so he's going to be a threat once he really gets used to this new landscape that is MLS Next Pro. You had Landy Moncrief. He is one of those amateur agreement players that made his debut for Austin FC2. Charlie Farah, we talked about him coming back from a small injury in his calf. Diego Abarca. Oh, bro, frustrating night for Abarca because he comes on as a sub, literally 2 yards in front of goal, maybe less. The ball bounces right before it gets to him, and he sends it over the bar. Clear net, nobody in front of him, and it just kind of tells you what kind of night Austin FC2 had in front of goal. But overall, a positive performance from Diego. The gentleman that I was mentioning earlier, Stefan Dobrijevic, this guy, I didn't know he was this big, brother. He looked like a freaking stallion out there, dude. He was going up and down the pitch. He was threatening that Minnesota back line. I'm very excited to see more from this player. We're gonna see more from him 100%. But I was very impressed off of my first couple of moments seeing him play with Austin FC2. And last but not least, we had Chuy Moreno, somebody that we talked about at the beginning of the pod. Him getting that amateur agreement call up. I think that's fantastic for him, for his family. I'm sure that they're very proud of him. And no, that's pretty much it, brother. Like I said earlier, the result was a liar. I think that the boys deserved a lot more from this game. But soccer is not about what you deserve. Soccer is about what you go out there and win for yourself, right? And And I think that's the perfect place to maybe, kind of leave it at. Anything you want to add to the second team game? We have some photos here actually. Look, this is Irvin Torres with the We're Austin TV mic. Shout out to my G. We have Jaca Barro, Jacaria, Tank in the midfield, 100%. I mean, look at those thighs, bro. Look at those thighs, bro. That's as big as my head. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, Jaca. What are you doing in the gym? Let me get that freaking leg workout routine, brother. I need it. Here on screen, you have myself speaking with Irvin, a team huddle, the next pro badge, and the soccer ball. Chris getting all the angles on that. Adri Gonzalez right here, controlling the ball with his chest. You have here Mo Badawiya. This is Mohammed. Very, very good player. Solid on the ball. Very creative in the attack as well. You have here Irvin Torres again. Moving forward, Riley Thomas. We have here Diego Abarca. And then the last photo. Oh, we have a couple more. Micah Burton, mentioned him as well. Adrian Gonzalez, right there, putting in work with those little braids, those little dreads going on. I thought that was pretty cool. But this is him receiving the red card. He kind of deserved it, though. I'm not gonna lie. I think he threw an elbow back, but the referee was on him, bro. The referee was on 100%. But look at him. He's like, what? And that was all of our reaction last night, brother. And then Jorge Lasto is celebrating his goal. Adri Gonzalez speaking with Micah Burton there, fixing the tape on his wrist. Mohammed praying. I love that kid, bro. He's so serious. And last but not least, that was it, actually. But anything you want to add, Primo, as we close out today?
Kind of like for the second team, or kind of just overall.
Second team overall.
Second team. I mean, I need to make it out to an Austin FC2 game. I haven't been out there in a while. Seems like this team's getting built up pretty good. Would want to see some of this action firsthand in person. So I'll definitely go check out a game. Kind of sucks, like you mentioned they're on Sundays now, so a little bit of change on the schedule. So that's a permanent thing. It's
permanent,
mostly Sunday.
Permanent.
Okay, that's.
Look at this, bro. Look at this photo, brother. Look at this photo, brother. I can't even do that. I can't do that with the Photoshop skills that I have acquired. How did he do that? I don't know, because you still see the details on Irvin Torres' jersey, but you can see that it's the pitch. I don't know how Chris did this, bro. I don't know how he did that. But Irvin Torres made it his profile. Oh, no, I'm sorry. He made another one his profile picture. But sorry, Primo, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, overall, it sounds good to be out there. And I'm sure this team appreciates the support. So I'll have to make time to go out there to a game. And then just overall thoughts on the week. It was a good game. I think versus DC, we got the points. That's the main thing. Fans are looking good. Fans are coming up to the interviews, feeling good. The vibes are still there. I want to shout out Douglas Sierra Deuce.
Shout out to my boy.
Shout out Sierra Deuce. Provided some good tickets for my wife and I. We had a good time watching the game with him up close. And then I want to shout out El Callejón, La Banda del Callejón. Shout out to those guys. Every time I'm on my way to game day, that's the first stop. That's the first group of people I see. And Kako was mentioning that he tunes in almost every pod. So shout out to him and La Banda del Callejón. Good people out there for sure. But we move on. It's going to be a new week. We always look forward to all the Austin FC news we can gather up, and then we have our first away game versus Charlotte to look forward to.
Oh, and on that note, thank you for reminding me before we close out the pod. On the Charlotte game, there is going to be a watch party at Hop Squad. It starts at 5 p.m. The things that are being said, that there's going to be $5 beers. The party at Hop Squad is always fun. There's going to be food. There's going to be vendors. Dispensary there. Shout out to RG. He's going to be there selling some of his awesome merch. So make sure to support the dispensary. Go ahead and check him out. So Hop Squad, versus Charlotte FC. Starts at 5 p.m. $5 beers. I mean, you really can't beat that these days. So go support Hop Squad. You'll see a lot of your favorite people there, a lot of supporters groups, and yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. But all righty, brother. Let's get out of here. I know it was a long pod. We had a lot to say at the beginning. There was a little bit of weirdness going on with the academy, but we cleared that up. I thought that was very important to get that out there. And of course, sending our condolences to anybody affected by the shooting that happened in Austin, Texas. I mean, it still doesn't feel real that this is happening in our little town. And I was talking with my boy Chart Roos, Yoshoi, if I'm not mistaken. He told me his name. It was a really cool name, actually. Let me say. Oh, maybe he doesn't want me to say it. No, I think I'm cool to say it. Name right here, Yoshio, my boy Yoshio, my boy Yoshio. We were talking about it, and I was telling him like, dude, I go out to places sometimes, and I still think that I'm in old Austin, and it's not old Austin, bro. It is not. Bro, North Lamar ain't even North Lamar, and North Lamar used to be crazy. It's even crazier now. You know what I'm saying? So everything has changed. So just keep your head on the swivel, everybody, and we'll see you soon. Charlotte FC coming up next, and then LAFC. So we'll be back for that later.